This example comes out of section 4.1, Angles and Angle Measure. We're going to talk about the difference between degrees and radians and how to convert from degrees to radians and vice versa. So first of all, we'll start with something we generally know, and that is that a full circle rotation is 360 degrees. Which means one degree is actually very small. Hard for me to even draw and for you to see it. 1 degree is a very tiny little thing. Now a radian, if I draw a circle and take the radius, if I stretch that exact length around the edge of the circle, the angle I come up with is 1 radian. Now that might be hard for you to picture, but it's going to be the same for any size circle. That angle will end up being the same size. It's actually close to 60 degrees, but not exactly 60 degrees. The easiest thing for us to remember for converting is that one circle, one rotation, is 2 pi radians. And remembering that pi is 3.14159 whatever, so this is roughly just a little over 6 radians as a full rotation of the circle. So if this is true, 360 degrees is equal to 2 pi radians, then it must be also true, for example, that 180 degrees is equal to pi radians. 90 degrees would be half of a pi, or pi over 2 radians, etc. So we can set up some converting questions and see how they work. The first type of converting question we'll try is to convert from degrees to radians. So the first angle I'm given here is 30 degrees. I want to change it to radians. If you want to, you can set it up similar to how you would do a chemistry or physics type problem, where you want your degrees to cancel out. So we know that there are 360 degrees in a rotation of the circle for every 2 pi radians. If you look at it like unit analysis, your degrees are going to cancel out, and you have 30 times 2 times pi over 360. So 60 times pi over 360. Now if you just punch that into your calculator, you're going to get a terrible looking decimal number, and so what I recommend is just do the numbers without the pi. So 30 times 2 is 60, 60 over 360. If you do into fractions on your calculator, you'll get 1/6. So the answer to this question is 1/6 pi, or if you prefer, pi over 6 radians. And that's equal to 30 degrees. Now the second one is 511 degrees, and not quite as round a number, but we'll still do it the same way. 2 pi radians for every 360 degrees. Now, if you multiply that out, it's not going to give you as nice a number, but if you reduce it, you're just going to get 511 times pi over 180 radians. So if you're forced to keep in exact values, that's the number you'd give. If you're allowed to give it in decimals, you'd multiply the pi in there and see what that decimal answer gives you. Now let's try a couple the other way around. So the first one of these says to convert to degrees, negative 4 pi over 3 radians. The negative just means I'm going to get a negative answer when I get to degrees, but my conversion factor is the same, basically just upside down. This time I want to get rid of radians, and I want to end up with degrees. So there's 360 degrees for every 2 pi radians. Lots of times people will also use 180 degrees for every pi radians. That's just as good. And if you multiply that out, this time it works out a little bit nicer in that the pi's actually cancel, so you don't end up with a terrible decimal answer here. You actually end up with negative 240 degrees. Makes sense that a negative radians measurement is going to give us a negative degree measurement. Now the next one, a little bit different, 7.2 radians. This time, just to show you, I'll try the conversion factor, 180 degrees for every pi radians. It'll work just the same. Really, it's just a reduced version of the last one we had. This one now isn't going to give us as nice a number, mainly because the pi doesn't cancel out this time. So I do 7.2 times 180 divided by pi, and I get 412.5 degrees approximately. This one needs to be rounded because the decimal places will go forever once pi is involved. You would get the exact same answer if you did 7.2 radians times 360 degrees for every 2 pi radians, and 412.5 degrees will be your answer in that case as well. So there's angles in radians and degrees and how to convert between them.